So with all the stories flying around about this brewing protest, what's your take on it? It's been scheduled to hold, of course, by August 1.
Well, I will tell you, the protest is not new. Protests have been known to occur in Nigeria. I honestly do not understand the reasons behind the current hysteria. I think there might be something the government knows in its intelligence gathering deductions that it is not yet telling Nigerians. I believe the current hysteria from government is totally uncalled for, unless there is something the government knows that it is not yet sharing with the citizenry. If not, I believe the protests are normal. There is true hardship across Nigeria. The economy is gone into a stagflation mode. The government doesn't seem to get any economic policy correctly. The people are complaining because of what they feel is government's non-action towards their sufferings. In the face of the sufferings, the government seems to have very wrong priorities, like buying luxury cars, bulletproof cars for non-essential issues, and renovating houses, homes, with billions that could be put into better use. So I believe the government should reach out, find who the protest leaders are, and try to talk to them in regards to finding out what it is that the government can do to be able to ameliorate the demands of protesters. Well, I think all these stories of saying foreigners are coming in, those are just stories. They're looking for alibis to be able to go there and stop the peaceful protest. Me and you know historically, it's always government that discovers strategies to infuse violence into peaceful protests. And I think government should stop such panic reactions and allow the process to go on, and then find who the leaders are and start to speak to them, and even start to do reforms that could situate the minds of the protesters. I don't think there's any demand that are totally out of the blue.
Katch, when you look at those who are actually calling for this protest, according to what we know, this protest is faceless. It doesn't have, known faces. People can actually say are the main organizers, and that might be a challenge for the Nigerian government. But then, if you look at it, what are the potential consequences of such a protest, positively or negatively? What would you say might be the eventual outcome, and how might that impact the government's response to citizens' demands? Of course, hoping it will not escalate.
Well, I could share something I believe. The government seems very unsure of itself. I don't know the reason from their calculation why they seem to feel very unsure. In a way, I would say very insecure. And I think that is totally out of order. If, as President Tinubu claims, that he won elections, I think going back to the people when they are not happy with you to ask what the problems are is a very logical reaction to when there are discontents. But what I believe seems to be happening, if you ask me, I will tell you that I believe, from what I can see, that the president thinks that those who helped him to power are the ones behind this process. And that's a very dangerous part to take. If those who actually, who are your main supporters, as we say, and are the ones organizing protests against you, as we have seen implosions in the APC from the removal of Mr. Ndume, and also from the crisis you've had with someone like Mr. Arewa, those things portend internal crisis in the ruling party. And I think there are lots of ways they can move on to situate people. That's one. Secondly, truly, there is hunger in the land. Truly, there is hardship in Nigeria. How do you deal with it? You don't deal with it by playing, as if what the people are saying is not true. that can deal with intra-party affairs, experts that will be able to reach all parties.
Okay.
That's what I do. That's what we did in the last election. Go beyond your party and talk to people from other political parties, sit them down.
And have a dialogue. Have a dialogue
especially
with
if you
them.
understand
Okay.
the circumstances that governed the last election.
All right, so Katch, now we now see that Arewa Integrity Group for Good Governance said it will be withdrawing from the protest, citing that that the federal government needs time to actually allow its policies to come on board and bear the fruits that are needed. But I'm just wondering, how much time do you think we can give to this government, to this administration? Because that seems to be the gospel from way back when Muhammadu Buhari was in power, and it's all about Nigerians need to be patient, patient, patient. Do you think that, there's a need for the Nigerian government to be accorded time to allow the dividends of governance and, of course, its policies to mature and begin to bear fruits that are needed?
If you ask me, I will tell you it is wrong for the government to start organizing faceless mobs. Those are Arewa people, those are just inconsequential group that don't have no regards to the social calculations. What the president should have done is to have run a government of national unity, an inclusive government. If you look at the circumstances of how he came to power, not this triumphant governance that seems to reek of all nepotism. No, run an inclusive government. If truly you didn't get a majority vote before you were declared president, understand the circumstances for such acrobatic arrangements, then run a governance that seems to include the aspirations of the diverse society called Nigeria, not another triumphant, nepotism-driven governance. No, that's not going to work. Either nepotism of the elite, which is also what I would call a hegemony of the elite, or a tribal nepotism. These things are not called for. What you need is, because of the low numbers that brought Tinubu in, is a national diverse governance.
Okay, Katch Ononuju, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us. You've spoken well.
Thank you for having me.
All right.